Welcome back to Those Vegan Chefs. I'm Stefan, and this channel is dedicated to making you a better vegan cook. Today, I'm excited to share my homemade vegan dumpling recipe. I'm using Faro with a punch of ginger and a surprise ingredient to create a flavor-packed filling for these delightful dumplings, also known as goizes, pot stickers. You get the picture, so let's get cooking. You know the key to our homemade vegan dumpling recipe, right, is this filling that we're gonna make. We have Faro as the main ingredient, and we have two Faros happening here. I have the whole quick cook. So we have some really fine pieces. You can see we have like some of these bigger pieces. Basically, I threw it in my high-speed blender for four like 2-second pulses on high. You know, there's no perfect mix. It's all good. As long as we have some fine pieces in there, which really helps bind the entire filling to our vegan dumplings. Have our pan on medium. We're gonna add our Faro to the pan because we're gonna lightly toast it with the poultry seasoning. We have our teaspoon of poultry seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just gonna dry toast the Faro a little bit. It's gonna add another layer of complexity to our filling. And then of course, toasting our poultry seasoning brings out the aromatics. Roughly a minute, we're gonna hit it with our 1/2 teaspoon molasses. We have 1.25 cups of water or veg stock. And we're gonna mix in, make sure the molasses has dissolved into the entire mixture. That looks great. We're gonna reduce the heat to low. We're gonna cook for roughly 10 to 12 minutes, stirring frequently because the finer pieces of the Faro will stick to the bottom of the pan and they can burn. So we need to just get in there and scrape the bottom of the pan, you know, every 3-4 minutes. We're ready to cover and move on to our next project. Basically, we're just gonna cut a little triangle, pop that guy out. We're not gonna use this entire thing because what we roughly need is 2 cups, 2.5 cups, right around there. We have our cabbage cut, add it to our large mixing bowl. We're gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna use our hands to massage the salt into the cabbage. And we're gonna let that sit. It's time to prep our shiitakes. So we're just gonna saute these, medium-high pan, just enough oil to coat the bottom, a pinch of salt, boom, boom, boom. That's it. Little crispy sauteed shiitakes, literally 2 minutes, bada bing, bada boom. And guess what? Our Faro's done. The bottom of the pan looks good because I was very diligent about keeping it clean, but you could see how it's all clumping together. That's what we want. One of the keys for me in this whole situation is I turn off the heat, I leave the lid on, and I just let it sit for roughly 5 minutes. And that just allows it to continue to kind of like hydrate. It starts cooling down. We're gonna get started with our scallions. I have 3. We're just gonna slice them nice and thin. I'm gonna do 4 cloves. I really like to be on the aggressive side of the garlic and ginger. So for me, I'm okay with it. It adds that nice little sharp bite to it. Now we're gonna do our ginger. Probably not gonna use this entire nub. Looking to get around a tablespoon. Color's so beautiful. Here we go. And our last choppy chop is our soft tofu. So we need roughly 1/4 cup of soft tofu. And we're gonna do this beautiful small dice. Adding the soft tofu brings a fattiness and a little bit of like creamy texture and flavor to the filling. So we have some water. We're rinsing the cabbage. And now we're just gonna gently lift the cabbage out and we're gonna squeeze any excess water. We're gonna really remove as much as we can because we do not want all that liquid in our dumplings. Now we're ready to mix and season. We're gonna start with adding 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of black vinegar. We have our rice wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon, and we have 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. I like to mix soy sauce and vinegars first, so I'm also kind of breaking up the little clumps of Faro as well. Next, we're gonna incorporate our ginger and our shiitake mushrooms. I prefer to use my hand, so this way we could really incorporate the ginger and the garlic. Plus we get a feel for the texture of our filling. We're making sure that it's gonna be nice and sticky. The tofu is gonna go last because we wanna keep the integrity of that dice as much as possible. If we added it now, it would probably break up completely into the mixture. That's looking good. All right, let's hit our scallions, our cabbage, mix those 2 in, kind of break up the cabbage. I'm just gonna grab a piece, see what's going on. You could use a pinch of salt. Now, we have been lightly seasoning throughout this entire process. We have the cabbage, has some salt, shiitake mushrooms, and of course we had some salt in the Faro, but it was all small amounts because we added soy sauce, and I didn't want to overdo it, so you have to do these little stages of seasoning throughout the entire process. We're gonna add our tofu finally. And we're gonna gently fold that in. I just love the look of those little tofu squares in the mixture. It's awesome. Our filling is complete. We're gonna pop it in the refrigerator so that it's cold. With the filling cold, it's time to build the dumplings. Good thing for me, Julie is much better at this than I am. We're gonna start with a spoonful in the middle of the wrapper. We're gonna use our finger to gently wet the perimeter of the wrapper. We're gonna fold it in half, and then we're gonna squeeze the end to seal. Now the goal here is to fold one end, squeeze it, fold it again, and squeeze it. We're looking for 7 folds. You're most likely gonna get 5, 6, 4, and then a 7. But the goal is to make sure the entire dumpling is sealed. And we're gonna start pinching and folding. Making sure we seal the entire wrapper. In go our beautiful vegan dumplings. Oil's nice and toasty. We're gonna turn the heat down a little bit. Moving right along, we have it nice golden brown on the bottom. So we're gonna add the water. Here we go, beautiful. So we've steamed the top and the bottom is crispy. Woo, look how cute those guys turned out. They look delicious. They're crispy on the bottom, steamed on top. Now the thing I'm super excited about is the filling. It's so delicious and it has so many applications. We can make an egg roll, we could stir fry with some rice, we could even saute it with some wide rice noodles. You know how much I love that. But with all that being said, I think it's time to dig in and take a bite. Nothing like a vegan dumpling with a little bit of chili crunch on top. Woo! Now, check it out. The tofu inside is our special ingredient. It brings a little bit of fat, it brings a little bit of texture and moisture to the dumpling. Divine. So, I think you should take the time to make these bad boys tonight, tomorrow, but get it done because they are delicious. And as always, I'll see you next week. Bye!